Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to At the End. I guess it's not necessarily good afternoon for you because these are not part of our normal live stream. So thank you for downloading us on whatever platform you had. I am Matt, here as always with Mike and Sebastian. And how's it going, boys? How's everything been in the 5 minutes since we recorded the last episode?
So much has happened. I made it to the couch and
Right.
poured myself another cup of coffee, and then I zombied back into the den.
Okay.
That's
All right.
about it. Yeah.
You guys will be happy to hear that I actually ran up the stairs and nothing hurt.
Oh,
The day
good.
after.
Good.
Yeah. So
I-
I'm good. I might even run tomorrow. We'll see.
Here's
Okay,
a
well,
question for you guys that I
Honestly, though,
forgot to
have
ask
blown
you.
your- Sorry, Sab. Go ahead.
Go ahead. There's a question I forgot to ask you in the previous episode is, have you guys ever had plantar fasciitis?
Yes.
Nope.
Many times.
I'm dealing with that at the
It
moment.
sucks.
Good
How bad
luck.
is it first thing in the morning when you try to stand on it?
That first step is a doozy, man.
Oh my god! Yeah, so I've been dealing with that for 2 weeks.
Oh,
That's
dude, I'm
freaking
sorry.
sucks, man.
What are you doing to keep it at bay?
I went to an RMT, and let me tell you, when she worked on the connective tissue in the arch, I was like white knuckled on the massage board, and she's like, "Don't be a p word."
So
For
basically,
some reason, she
was-
likes to inflict pain on her
Nice.
clients, and that
You
excites her. But I was in some. The calves are so tender,
Okay.
man, to get.
Yes, they are.
And then when you have planters and you have someone digging into the arch where you have planters, it's not fun.
Are you using a lacrosse ball under your foot and rolling it where
She suggested a golf ball, so I'm using a
okay.
golf ball.
Golf ball works too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Any
Yeah,
kind of
so-
hard kind of ball like that. would
So
be
I got some stretching exercises to help with the calf, and then I'm rolling it out. But yesterday was the best it's felt. I mean, today it's sore because I played soccer yesterday, but yesterday it's the best it's felt since I injured it.
Oh,
since
good.
it just all of a sudden came on.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. It just all of a sudden shows up. It doesn't,
Yeah.
Your feet don't give a
Wow.
shit.
I don't envy you if you ever get it, Matt, because it's a doozy,
No,
man.
I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't like it. I got enough problems in my life. However, if I do, it'll probably be my right foot, just because it's also my right hip, my right shoulder, and my right knee that are all freaking against my life.
I have,
Mike, I'm glad. I honestly, if you had torn your Achilles dashing up the stairs, I'd have gone, yeah, that's about right. Got through his race, got it almost healed up, and then it's like, nope, one
Yeah.
step too far, bro.
That's right.
One step too far.
We start the live and Mike's not there. All you just see is a hand reaching up, like trying to like pull himself onto the. I'm here, guys.
I do have. This is going to turn into an old person podcast. I do have sciatica too. I don't know if you guys ever had that.
Nope. I don't
Is
know.
that like arthritis or?
No, it's
No,
like a
just
pinch, it's a pinched nerve in like your lower back hip area.
Yeah.
And so like when I drive for a while and I'm sitting in the sitting position like I'm in right now, my right leg will just cramp up from like the hip down to my toes. And it's
That's
just,
fun, hey?
No, it's
Ooh.
like fucking murder.
Yeah.
And it's been horrible all week too. And so I went and saw my chiropractor. He's like, "You're gonna go do your race with this?" I'm like, "I signed up for it, man. I'm doing
Yeah.
it." He's like, "You're a fucking nutcase."
That's where you
And
just look
you
at the
did.
doctor in his face, point at him, and go, "Hey, no one likes a quitter," and then you just turn and leave.
Well,
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
And then we're like,
apparently-
"Okay, we'll see you on Sunday then when you
Yeah.
come back in."
Yeah, basically. So I'm shocked because if even was that on Friday, I went and picked up the kid from school. He gave him a half day, so we picked him up. And in a 20-minute drive, I'm like, I could feel it already. I'm like, oh God, I'm running tomorrow. This is not going to be a good day. And today it's actually pretty good. So maybe I ran it out.
There you go.
We'll go with that. I ran it out. But
We'll see how you feel tomorrow.
I'll be fine. I'm going to run tomorrow.
That a boy.
Mhm.
That a boy.
Nothing far, nothing fast, but I'm going to get out there and put a few K under my feet. So maybe lift some weights too. Maybe I'll do that. I should probably do that more than run.
This is a changer for you in your life. I believe in you.
I think so.
Do it.
Might be.
Good. Well, I mean, that's fantastic. I got into a minor fight with one of the children and attempted
In the 15
to-
minutes that we've been away.
Yeah,
Matt's got some serious talent, so
Yeah.
he's
and I attempted to correct the mistake I made with a craft I'm working on in between shows while I was waiting for this. So, welcome back. We're gonna get off of the physical track here and get more in tune with our ears. So it's this episode, if you're listening to it, has come out on Canada Day, if I've timed it correctly. If not, it'll be the week before. We'll see how this turns out. But it's Canadian music. I mean, we have a very specific law in our country where there has to be so much Canadian content on any Canadian broadcast station, be it radio or TV.
I think it's
This
like
does not.
30%, right? Something
Yeah,
like
say
that.
33%. Like, it's supposed to be like 1/3, I believe. This does not always work out well. For whatever reason. It's if you are so
Yeah,
used
you can
to
only hear
listening
so
to
much
Canadian,
Nickelback on the radio.
Have you guys heard their new record?
No,
no.
I heard it's pretty hard. Like it's pretty heavy though.
It is. Like I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's like mind blowing or good, but it's I don't know.
Serviceable.
You know what?
It's
Nickelback
fine.
gets shit on an awful
They
lot.
do.
They've got some good stuff out there, but they kind of remind me of Bon Jovi in the
Yes.
80s, where Bon Jovi would get shit on an awful lot, and yet they still have an ass every 18 inches with a 20,000 seat arena.
Yep.
And
Well,
Nickelback does the
okay.
same thing.
Well, I
They
think
sell a
Nickelback's
lot of
problem
tickets for a
is-
band that apparently kills llamas every time you listen to a show. Like,
I think a lot of Nickelback's problem is their lyrics because they're just bad.
they're not great.
No, like the music is a lot of their music is fantastic, but the lyrics not really doesn't.
But when they hit a good one, they hit a good one. I'm a big fan of Burn It to the Ground. Loved that one.
What's that from? What album is that from?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's a few years ago now. It's a banger. And Rockstar as well. I mean, I've done that one.
Leader of
karaoke
Men is the
many
best song
times.
they've done.
You know what?
Leader-
That's an
Leader of
arguable
Men is
point,
so
but I will
good.
I will give you credit. Definitely a top 5 for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like Never Again. That's a good one.
That's
The
not
first,
bad.
the first track off their first major release, the one after Leader of Men.
So, okay, I'm going to sum up to you why Nickelback has a bad rap, and it might be warranted or it might not. They go against, I think, what the three of us look at as being true artists in the musical genre, right? So the true artists in the music, yeah, they want to write hit songs, but they want to write songs that speak to themselves, and they want to write songs of exploration, of like artist exploration. Whereas Nickelback's sole purpose, from what I understand, is that they scientifically engineer their songs to be like banger songs. So everything that they go into writing their song are like scientifically engineered to be hit songs. So I think that's why people get annoyed with them, is because I don't feel like they're writing music for the sake of writing music because they want to say something to the world. I think they're writing music to become hit songs.
To follow the quote unquote formula.
The
right?
formula of a hit song.
What's a pop song?
So-
what's a yeah.
How do the chords go? What am I supposed to be saying? How does a chorus? How do you generate a good chorus? So everything, I don't think they do exploratory work in their music. They just keep trying to craft a hit song after hit song after hit song. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, right? But as a true artist, don't you want to explore the landscape of your art a little bit more and try different things? So yeah. So, but
You know,
Nickelback is not my most hated Canadian artist, by the way. I will get to that in a moment.
oh yeah, you will, because this came up the other day. It's going to be the topic for another podcast, but
God.
absolutely, you just happen to despise another Canadian artist. Now, friend of the show, Sarah, Nickelback is local to us here in Vancouver.
Technically, yes.
Especially in the Langley area.
Well, they originated from,
A
I
member
believe,
of
Calgary,
Sarah's
I
family
think.
had a run-in with Chad, and not only did he get the better of Chad, it is a fantastic story. And when we were preparing to do our vacation last year, she was talking to a friend of hers at LA, and he had known this story, and he was telling it to somebody else, and the guy stopped him. And he went and he grabbed another buddy. And he says, come here. And the way it worked out was these guys had heard that story already because Chad was telling it. And Chad was telling it right, where he got one up, which I thought was fucking hysterical. I'm actually kind of reaching out right now because, I mean, I don't want to shit on anybody here, but it's a fun story. I've heard varying degrees of what kind of a human being Chad is, depending on, who's telling the story and the kind of mood he's in, fair enough. I mean, I can be the same way. I can be an absolute fucking dick.
I mean, his name is
I'm
Chad.
lucky.
What does that tell you?
Well, you know what? When one of my kids gets drunk, she changes her name to Chad, turns her hat on backwards, and acts like a frat boy. But it's not a shitting on Chad story at all. I've never met the man. I've never had a bad altercation with the man because of it, and I've never had a good altercation with the man because of it. But I've heard from people that have worked with him, have been out with him, have been around him. It's like it can go either way. It's just, everybody has a mood, and sometimes there's just a mood, right? Nickelback, not my favorite Canadian artist, not my least favorite Canadian artist. They've dropped some hot garbage, but you know what? They got Rockstar, they got Burnt to the Ground, they got Leader of Men, they got some stuff that are just absolute
Feed the
bangers.
Machine is good too.
Yeah,
But yeah.
And the one with the Dimebag solo in it, Side of a Bullet, that's a good tune.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that one with Josie Scott from Saliva for the Spider-Man soundtrack, which I
Hero.
think that really leans into Seb's point about the lyrics don't always work out.
That was
as well
Mike's
as they
point,
want.
but yeah.
Oh, Mike's point.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah,
Sorry.
totally. No, it's all good.
Yeah. So, but
Nickelback.
Canada gets a bit of a shit rap.
Would you say that Nickelback?
which
Hold on, just going to Nickelback for a second. Would you say that Nickelback is one of the most famous Canadian bands from that people look on outside of Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
so like
absolutely.
they're hugely popular in like the States and different parts of the States. They sell out arenas in the States.
Oh yeah.
Whereas a lot of Canadian bands don't even tour stadiums in the States, right?
They're bigger in the States than they are in Canada.
Probably.
I mean, let's face it. The biggest Canadian band never did shit in the States.
No.
What do you mean, Rush?
Oh,
I'm gonna hurt you one day. No,
For those of you, he's talking about Tragically Hip. Yeah,
the Tragically Hip. Rush was huge outside of the States, and you know what? Rush probably did is in that rarefied air with the Guess Who and Alanis Morissette, where they came out of Canada. They were big in Canada, and they were big in the States, and they were big worldwide.
But Rush was earlier.
And
Rush
I
was
can't take that away from them.
Rush started in the
fucking hit.
70s, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they are like, what's the drummer's name? Neil. What's his name?
Peart.
Yeah, he's probably one of the top 10 drummers of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
And so having that pedigree, like in a time in the 70s where musicianship was touted on, look at all the greatest bands out of the 70s, and the musicianship in those bands was like virtuoso quality.
All of them were like that.
All of them were like that. So you needed to be a master of your instrument to be a legitimate band, I'd say, in the 70s.
And they
Not
did
necessarily,
it with three
but
guys.
they did it with three guys.
Some of these guys that were around there, some of these bands, I should say, that were around there, at least 4-piece, if not 5, 6, 7, because they had the keyboards, they had the brass section, they had everything else, and Rush did it with 3 guys.
Yeah.
Right, and Geddy Lee, Mike, the man's voice, it's
a love it or hate it voice.
Singer.
He's a love it or absolutely.
It's a love it or hate it voice. Yeah,
absolutely mental, batshit crazy. Now that I think about it, the band that I was going to shit on next to Seb's choice is also Canadian. I'm sure we'll get there, and it actually made me lose respect for an athlete I'm a fan of because he said this band was his favorite band of all time.
Oh God, I'm scared to ask who is it?
The athlete or the band?
Both.
Cody Rhodes' favorite band is Our Lady Peace.
Oh my
and
God,
they fucking suck.
Well,
fucking
their
awful.
first record, Naveed, the first record was awesome.
I have heard inside knowledge about somebody in the industry that interviews Canadian musicians. They work in a radio station that that's all I'm going to say.
Sure.
I do know him, and
Is it Jeff O'Neill?
I'm not going to say who it is, but I asked him, I'm like, who's artist that you absolutely hate? And he's like, Rain Maida. Like immediately, Rain Maida.
No, they had it was coming out.
Oh, really? He's like, yeah, that guy is just not a good human being, apparently. So, yeah.
But like for me, everything after their first record,
the way he sings is so whiny. It's not
come
as high
now,
as
feed.
Geddy. It's not as high as Geddy, but it is.
It's a
You know, the
Creed.
little
It's a
kids
Scott
with that whiny
Stapp's Creed
tone in their
voice.
voice.
It's the
And
Creed
that's
voice.
what he sings like.
It's a Creed voice, right? It's
No,
like
it's
I got to
not
put
true.
on my singing voice. You know, like it's not his real voice. So
Yeah, I would believe that, but he is just such a whiny singer. It's just like, I want to go to
It's
McDonald's.
like he's a
Okay.
whiny teenager all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, shut the
And
fuck
just-
up.
All right.
For me, it's the whine tone.
Yeah.
And
I'm
not
gonna
even
lay
like
it on you guys here right now.
Okay.
Here,
Seb's getting ready.
this is the most overrated artist
Uh-oh.
in the world.
World.
I believe,
Bold
and
statement.
this might get me in some hot water.
Hot water.
I call
Not with me.
him. I call him the Nickelback of the hip hop world, Drake. I don't get Drake. I don't get why people are saying he's like a top 5 rapper of all time. I'm just like, I know he's Canadian. I know he's decent, but I don't like any of his songs, man.
And he was
couldn't
annoying
pick
when the
one out of a
Raptors won
lineup.
the NBA thing too. He's always on the court thinking he's, I don't know.
getting in the way. Like,
Getting
just
in
sit
the
down,
way.
bro. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
I
People love Drake though.
I
They
know, and I
fucking
don't
love Drake. And I'm
understand.
like, how? There's like 50 better rappers out there than he is, but yet they're like, no, he's like a top 5 of all time. I'm like, I don't know about
I'm
that.
gonna be honest. I've never heard one Drake song in my life.
Yes, you have.
I haven't.
You have,
hold
but you're
on.
probably not aware that it's a Drake
Unknowingly,
song.
What's the name of a Drake song? I'll put it on in my headphones.
Hotline Bling.
I
No,
already don't
I've
listen
heard
to that.
Hotline Bling, so apparently I have heard a Drake song, but it's
I'm
never
already
never
good. I don't think I
registered
need to
with
hear
me.
that.
All
you
of
know?
our Spotify lists next week
Yeah.
are going to be nothing but Drake.
My algorithm.
I'm going to screw up our algorithm.
Let's put on this garbage.
But yeah, I mean, Maestro Fresh West, Let Your Backbone Slide.
Great
Don't
song.
know why he didn't go anywhere after that. I love that song. I still love that song. Canadian rapper.
Yeah.
That's it. He came out in the early 90s, and he was good. He was not. He was right before that shift to the gangsta rap style was like, I don't know, like gangster rap and grunge kind of both came in on the same wave and pushed out everything else in the genres for popular for a while.
I'm gonna go
And
back to Rush.
like Maestro Fresh West, he had a good flow. He had a good presence, and just I don't know what happened, what went sideways. Maybe it's just the fact that he was Canadian. And it's like how badass can you be when you're on the mean streets of Toronto, where we're
what
coming
was his
from New
follow-up
York
from
and LA?
like, Backbone Slide?
Well, he only had that, like, people
Right.
only remember him from that one song, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have no idea. I had the album, couldn't remember anything else off of it, and maybe that's it. Maybe he just had the one that worked, right? Maybe.
Yep.
yeah.
I think a lot of those rap, especially in the rap world from back in the day when we were kids, like it was just like, you know, the young MCs and all that. I know he's not Canadian, but talking like in that sort of genre of music, for me, after all that was out, I turned my back on rap, and it was just like, yeah, no, this isn't my thing. And I told
Once
him
we discovered Metallica,
well, once I discovered, you know,
and
guitars.
we got our first guitars. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, rap
right?
music doesn't have guitar in it, so why would we
No.
listen to that?
And
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because did any of you guys watch the BT Lions game last night?
Nope, but
I did not.
LL
Apparently,
Cool
they
J.
interrupted an
And it was
LL
on,
Cool J
and we're like
concert, though.
watching, and we're like, what the hell? Like, how'd they get him?
Because they paid him like $300,000 for the appearance or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he was super into it, and I was like, wow, this guy's giving everything. And
Yeah, I will say this about LA though, like LL Cool J, he just goes for it. Like he doesn't, he puts on a show every time.
yeah, it was a full
Yeah.
stage performance. The performance was amazing. My style, no, but gotta give kudos to the guy. He's somewhere where he probably didn't want to be, and you know,
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's be honest. The man's an actor now.
Yep,
He's a
absolutely.
good
I
actor
don't-
too.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He's a good
I
actor.
mean,
Yeah, he's not terrible. Like,
yeah.
He's
I mean,
he's
so-
a TV actor, right? It works.
yeah, he's on NCIS something or other.
Yeah, the one with Robin from Batman and Robin.
Yeah, LL.
Chris O'Donnell.
Chris
Right?
O'Donnell.
Los
oh my
Angeles,
God.
I believe.
Yes.
But I hear this.
Actually-
I don't know. I stopped watching NCIS a while ago. But yeah, I mean, we've had some decent hip hop artists come through here. We've had some one hit wonders like Maestro Fresh West. We've had Snow. Remember,
Informer.
yeah, there you go. You know, our contribution.
Ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da.
This is as Vanilla Ice is getting hot. This is our contribution. We're going to drop some snow on you, which, okay, cool. Um,
Just kind of
Varying
mirrors it,
reports
eh?
on what went wrong there. He may have had some legal difficulties somewhere. I don't know the entire story. I don't
Wasn't he
remember the
dangled
entire
over
story.
like a balcony railing by Suge Knight or something?
I
Oh,
think
there's a
so.
terror. There's a scary human being right there,
Yeah,
Suge Knight.
I think there's some like legend out there that he was dangled like feet first over top with his head straight down, like 4 stories up.
Did he owe money or something, or
Probably,
contract
Which is
dispute, or
right?
become
yeah,
a thing in a few movies.
Right.
yeah.
I think they actually covered that in the Straight Outta Compton movie,
Okay.
but I
Informer
don't think
specifically,
they.
or
No, the
I,
Vanilla Ice thing, right?
I don't think
yeah,
so. I know that Suge Knight
I
is
don't. I
mentioned, or you see him in the movie Straight Outta Compton. That's a
yeah.
great movie, by the way. For someone that hasn't watched it, Straight Outta Compton is a phenomenal movie. And I don't like gangster rap. I'm not a guy that listens to it, but I suggest that movie for everybody.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely love that movie.
And did you know that the guy that plays Ice T in it, not Ice
Ice
Cube,
Cube
sorry,
is his actual son.
is his
Yes.
actual
Right.
son? Yeah,
Cool.
it
That's
looks
cool.
just like him too.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a fantastic bit of casting, and it's not just like, well, you look just like your dad, so we'll put you in the movie. He did a good job, and he's done a few other movies as well where he's done a really good job. So he's
Yeah.
good for him. I mean, it worked out well.
So let me ask you this question: what artists do you resonate with other than the hip? Because I know we're gonna do one about the hip specifically in
Sure.
like a couple of weeks. But outside of the hip, the tragically hip, what are some Canadian artists that you guys like resonate with, that you just grew up loving?
5440.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Little Ocean
always.
Pearl, absolutely love me
Well,
some
that's one of the first
5440.
songs I learned how to play guitar. So
Yep.
yeah, I love Ocean Pearl. Such a great song.
For me, it was the Tea Party, man.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up loving the Tea Party because
Yeah.
especially when we first started to discover and explore guitar, just to hear what they could come up with, because it was
Yeah.
so Eastern influenced.
Yep.
It was outside of the norm of what you're supposed to hear on the radio. So
Yeah,
it
and
was
I know
just, yeah, it
I
was
know
good.
Mike was a big Tea Party fan. I remember when I was running the record store, I had the Tea Party on one day because it was something we were allowed to play because it was a top 40 corporate store. And I was behaving myself, and I had one guy like the back door to my office was open, so it was just cracked out into the store because I was trying to keep an ear on things. And guy sticks his head in there, and he's like, "Hey," I'm like, "What the
So
fuck?" And he's like, "Just want to let you know the music you're playing fucking sucks." And I'm like, "You can see the rest of the stuff behind the counter. This is what I'm coping with." He just walked out of the store. I'm like, "Good, like fuck off. I don't need your
yeah,
opinions."
Yeah.
I have my hands are tied, and it is not like a Wednesday night when there's nobody in the mall and I can get away with opening something or pulling something out of the CD bin in my car.
Yeah.
But no, the Tea Party I enjoyed. I thought they did a good job. I think they recently just dropped a new album or did a new tour, didn't they?
they had one last year, I think.
When did we see them, Seb? Was that 21 or was that pre-COVID? I can't even remember now.
I think it was pre-COVID. I know
Okay.
they did a EP called Sunshine, I think, which was like 4 or 5 songs on it.
Yes, I'm looking at Sun Shower. Oops.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But they haven't like done a studio album for
Since
a long
2014
time.
was their like reformation because they broke up for a while. Like after 2004, they took some time apart. Jeff Martin moved to Australia, and
Did they? Yeah.
yeah, and then they reformed in 14, and they've sort of been together here and there ever since. Actually, I did see Jeff Martin here in my town in a small little club. He just played acoustic just by himself, and he told stories, and it was really, really cool. He played some cool covers, some Tea Party stuff done all differently, and again, to Seb's point with the Eastern influences and the goofy tunings and stuff like that, it just sort of, like back in the day when we were kids, it was that exploration. It was, like Seb said, nothing we've ever heard before, and it was a perfect blend of like the Doors and Led Zeppelin fused like into one
Eastern
band.
influence, yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny. Then all of a sudden, Page and Plant came out like within like a year they reformed and they did everything Middle Eastern influenced and all sort of. I'm not saying that the Tea Party influenced them at all because that's probably not the case, but it's just funny how music changes that way. Like the grunge was huge, Page and Plant come back, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
But
Bad Blood Moon Rising is the last album they did. That was 2021. So that has Black River on it, which was like the one that came out, and then Summertime was the other one that came out as singles, I think. For me, I like them less and less with each new album they put out.
Yeah.
Like the first two albums were first three albums were so good.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
And then they kind of got pretty exploratory. So I think this is a lesson maybe in going too far into exploration with your music, because I think they lost a lot of their initial listeners when they started going electronic and really out there with sounds and stuff, which is their right because they're musicians. They can do whatever they want, right? But you lose your audience in a way. So I don't know what the right answer is with that.
Well, I mean, that's the key thing for anybody putting out content like that, musicians, actors. If you go and do something you want and you were well established in
another genre,
or a certain role, you risk losing your audience.
Yep.
I mean, we discussed this with that band out of San Francisco you guys enjoy, where certain albums had a different sound.
Slayer, right?
Slayer.
Yeah,
yes.
Certain albums have a different sound, and it didn't work. Yet, if you don't try it, then you're in danger of losing the same fans that are going to turn around and go, well, it just sounds the same as the last album. Like, can't they try anything different? Right. And then you turn around and you try something different. They're like, well, this sucks. Why couldn't they just sound like the last album?
Right.
And you see that anybody putting out content suffers with that. It is TV and actors. I mean, you see actors get pigeonholed all the time or typecast all the time, and then when they try to step out, it's not well received. I mean,
look at Tom Cruise. He's a great dramatic actor, but all he does is Mission Impossible now.
Well, yeah, I mean, granted,
Top Gun, which is Mission Impossible in
action, right?
In
like
an airplane.
he is capable of more. We saw it in Born on the 4th of July. We saw it in The Last Samurai.
Saw it in Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with the Vampire.
He's great in that. Collateral.
Eyes Wide Shut.
In Collateral.
Right.
He plays a villain. Like, I mean, every time he plays a villain, Tom Cruise, it's like an Oscar caliber performance, man. Like,
but that's not what everybody wants. I mean, it's great. I mean, look at the difference between Brent Spiner. We know him as Data. However, if you know Brent Spiner's work, you know he was also a down and out redneck hillbilly that kept getting dragged into court on Night Court. Very different.
Before that? On Night Court, that goes back.
I did not know
I always remember him as being the crazy scientist in Independence Day.
That's where I thought Matt was going with that.
Also, and I was headed to there as well. I mean, he did that in Independence Day, and it was very like off the rails Doc Brown.
Yes.
But I mean, he stepped out of that role, and for whatever reason, he never really was able to push past it. And I think you see that in music a lot. AC/DC has never really tried to get too far out of their mold, and it's worked for them. But a lot of times you hear is, well, AC/DC, it's just the same song over and over and over and over again. I'm like, well, it fucking works for them. And if AC/DC tried to come out and drop an album that, had a long power ballad on it and extensive guitar solos and, smooth singing talking about love, it's different. It doesn't sound like Thunderstruck. It doesn't sound like Highway to Hell, but that's not what we want.
Well, they did do it once with what song was that? Ride On from like.
How'd that work?
It's a good song. That's a good song.
Yeah.
And it's off. What's that? Highway
groovy,
to Hell, or is that Highway to Hell?
It's definitely slow.
It's slow. It's amazing. It's just, I wouldn't say they stepped out of their comfort zone. It's just a slow blues song, but it was different. Bon Scott had to be quiet, and
the point is, it's a dangerous thing to step out of your comfort zone and try something new and try to alter your sound a little bit. It doesn't work out as well as it might for other bands. Like Madonna seems to have made a career on it, right?
Reinventing herself after every album.
You don't recognize Alanis Morissette's early stuff as much as you recognize Alanis Morissette
Jagged Little Pill
after
Alanis.
Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah.
Very different. Her very first video I remember seeing was little poppy bubblegum pop song, and the video had
Matt LeBlanc in it.
Matt LeBlanc in it, Joey from Friends, pre-Friends, right? And then you jump forward a couple of years, and it is angry breakup music.
Oh yeah.
It is lashing out at boyfriends. It is pissed off woman, and
She was the Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift was a thing.
100%.
Absolutely.
She's the Canadian Taylor Swift from like the 90s.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And and I only just found out that Alanis does the theme song for Yellow Jackets, which is a very creepy sounding theme.
Cool.
It is like the voice sounded familiar, but I mean, I'm not up to date on a lot of it, and it can kind of be vocals can kind of sort of blend into each other, but it doesn't sound exactly like her. But when you know it's her singing, there are parts where you're like, that's it right there. I can hear it now. That is exactly what tickled that memory. Like, and it is a creepy fucking song, and it is not like the angry stuff that she was doing, right? And Alanis, she's one of the ones, came out of Canada. She had her big album and never looked back. She's dabbled in acting. She's out there. She's doing music. She's doing tours. She had drummer
Taylor Hawkins.
She had Taylor Hawkins in the band on that Jagged Little Pill tour before he moved over to Foo Fighters, right? And like, she was a wonderful success in Canada, and she was able to transfer that over not just to the States but worldwide, right? Like, she was a household name in the 90s.
And she went to LA with nothing.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Just worked her ass off and got what she wanted. Got the album she wanted. Yeah. Hard worker.
Yeah, and she did. And Neil Young did the same thing. Left Canada, went to LA, and made his bones there.
Apparently Neil Young never got his American citizenship to this day. He's still 100% a Canadian citizen, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was just reading it when I was like doing a bit of research for this topic. Yeah, it says he's in Buffalo. Like, I think that's where he moved to, right?
Yeah.
What does it say? He left Northern Ontario long ago and yet never became an American citizen. So always kept true to his Canadian roots. So
he stayed on that landed immigrant sort of status.
But he's Neil Young, though, right? So you're not going to deny him into your country, right?
No.
No, I mean, like,
if he wants to make his home in Buffalo, you're like, yeah, come on in, it's fine. So
yeah, well, now it is. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. You got the money to do it, and it's like, well, I could just leave. I don't give a fuck.
There's also one Canadian artist that we haven't talked about, which is the best way to describe him is haunting, and he's amazing. Leonard Cohen.
Ooh, good call.
Right, like his version of Hallelujah is probably one of the best versions of Hallelujah you can ever get. It's just so broody and dark, and like dark in a good way. I mean, so yeah, he's a poet and a musician, and often a poet and a musician. Does a lot of spoken word. I haven't listened to a lot of Leonard Cohen because it's very specific style of music, but he's entrancing when you listen to him.
Yep.
So, I don't know. What do you guys listen to Cohen at all, or?
No, I like Leonard Cohen stuff. Hallelujah.
It's not an everyday listen though for me.
No.
Right? It's like a specific listening time.
Yeah, I never really listened to him, except for he had a song on Natural Born Killers soundtrack, I think. And
that might have been
where I kind of discovered him, and I think I might have done a deep dive, a million years ago. But I respect the man as a musician and an artist, and doing whatever he wanted to do, and didn't let anyone tell him what to do. He just did his thing, and that's what a true artist should do: is just do the thing, right?
Yeah, it was the lead off track. It was called "Waiting for the Miracle"
by
Leonard Cohen.
Yes.
Yeah.
That song was cool.
Also,
His
the
version
Cowboy
of Hallelujah is
Junkies.
the benchmark. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people from having run karaoke shows, I want the Katie Lang version. I'm like, okay. And a few of them,
I mean,
including myself, I'll
okay.
take the
Jeff
Leonard
Buckley
Cohen.
version
Hang
was
on though.
good.
The Katie Lang, also a Canadian, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing version of Hallelujah, arguably better than Leonard Cohen's. So
I'll argue.
depending on who you will. Also, Cowboy Junkies was probably the most famous song from that soundtrack, Sweet Jane. But Cowboy Junkies, another Canadian band.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
With covered our buddy Lou Reed.
Oh God. We just had to talk about Lulu, didn't we?
Yes,
I
we did.
re-listened. I re-listened to it. By the
We
way,
ran that one into the ground a while back.
it's not good. Like
No.
I trust me,
It's
I re-listened to it like a
fucking
week
terrible.
ago, and I'm like, there's only like maybe one song that's remotely possible to be a passable song, but
that
everything
Ice-
else you're just like, what are you doing?
Was that Ice Honey? Was that the one?
No, it was the slower one, I think. Oh Christ, I'll look it up. But like the whole album feels like
It's
this.
shit.
It feels that Metallica took some time to create these passages of music, gave it to Lou Reed, and Lou Reed was like probably having dinner at the same time as he was laying down the vocal tracks, because he literally sounded like he just kind of mumbled into the mic. Yeah, that's good enough. We'll just he looked like he did all of the vocal tracks for it in like 4 hours.
Oh, probably.
Like it's
The music was like
so
one take, and
bad.
he's like, "Yeah, that's good." Okay, it's not good, but okay.
Oh my God, it's so bad. What
I'm even ever
was it
always still
Junior
surprised.
Dad? Was that the song that I was
Oh,
thinking
that's like
of?
20 minutes long, man.
No, maybe it wasn't that one. I don't know. I'd have to listen to it again, which I won't do.
Come
So
on.
maybe it's Little Dog.
The
There's
view is not terrible. It's not a terrible song. It's not good, but it's
it's the singing that does it for me.
it is. It's awful.
It is the singing. And the funny is, have you ever read any of the five out of 5 star reviews, like the
No.
10 out of 10?
Yeah, I have.
They're hilarious, man.
I
Because
actually
people are
remember-
so passionate about this record. They're like, "Oh, you don't understand. You don't get what he's trying to do," and you're just like, "It's terrible. That's what it is."
I remember going to the Amazon reviews. I stole a page from another podcast I listened to, went to the Amazon reviews, and what we discovered reading the 5-star reviews was, if you're a fan of Metallica, this album is an absolute fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Lou Reed,
It's a classic.
it's fantastic.
Right?
But so
And
I
that's
asked
where the 5 stars and 1 stars went.
but I asked Mike this question, and I'll ask you this question as well. Don't you think that Lou Reed kind of like played Metallica for this record? Because Metallica doesn't need Lou Reed.
No. not at
Oh
all.
no,
But-
yeah,
so
absolutely.
you kind of feel
Absolutely-
like-
absolutely was using them to try and get relevant, and
To
I'm
get
sure the
clout,
Metallica
right?
guys were
Yeah.
like, well, it's Lou Reed, like
Might
this
as
is
well,
Lou Reed,
yeah.
right?
Because I think it was his idea, wasn't it?
Yes.
I don't. Yeah,
I think the story goes they met at the Hall of Fame induction. I think for Lou or Metallica, one of the years they both got in, and they hit it off. And they're like, I think Lou suggested, let's make a record. And they're
Let's
like,
do a collab record.
Yeah, okay. And it's like, really, Lou Reed of all
My
people,
God.
they could have chosen to
Right.
do. I know he was different and it was off the wall, and that's why they did it, right? Because it was different. But he thought of anybody. Even do.
I
even do
still
with
want-
Bowie before Bowie passed. Like, come on.
Do you know what Metallica collab that would be great with? And you don't need to do an entire album, but you could do like 1 or 2 songs. Is Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
She's a big Metallica fan, and she killed it when they did Moth into Flame at the Grammys, right? And I just think that would work.
Or
I
they could
feel
do a collab.
like she was somewhere on that big tribute set they did a few years ago, where it was like 30 or 40 tracks and just all over the place. I feel
Was that
like
where
she was in
Snoop
there.
Dogg did Sad But True?
Oh, on the Icons.
That's the MTV icon.
Oh, was
song.
that's Icons? Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Okay, we're way off Canadian music track, but this actually plays.
Yeah.
You know who is a Canadian that did a surprisingly good job on the Metallica Icon show? Avril Lavigne.
Oh yeah. She's a rocker though. Like
She did it
yeah.
well. I mean, she got pigeoned into that bubblegum sort of skater pop Blink 182 wave.
He was a skater
And
boy.
when she
I
came
may
out
see
and
you
did
later,
that,
boy.
I remember
Blah, blah,
watching
blah.
it. I'm like, Avril Lavigne, fuck, I don't want to sit through this. And I might have been out of the room, but like I heard it start and I'm like, ooh.
Dude, she's
Like
gorgeous, by the
I
way.
went full Tim the Toolman Taylor. Arr!
She's
And
gorgeous.
it's and you know,
I'm gonna say that again. She's gorgeous. Okay,
yeah, I mean
moving on.
she had a good run. I mean, it wasn't my thing, but she had a good run, made some money. I'm gonna
She
bring up a
just
name of a
put
band.
she. I think she
We're
just
gonna
put
go.
out a song, didn't she, or album
I think so.
recently?
Yeah, it was recent, fairly recent.
Like within the last year, I think.
I'm gonna
I don't know.
I'm gonna go over to the Rock here.
Go for it.
Not Dwayne. I'm going all the
Please.
way to the East Coast. Great Big Sea. That is a hell of a little kitchen party band right there. I love them.
Great Big
Absolutely
C.
love them. I know that there was some issues with drug abuse, and one of the guys had to leave because the road party lifestyle just was not working for him as far as living a long and healthy life. So he sort of opted out, and the band kind of dissolved. I missed. It's one of those bands that I missed seeing, and I'm pissed because the tickets they'd come through, they played the bigger hockey arenas, but they weren't like super expensive tickets. Never when I saw them. Like they did Mary Mac, their greatest hits album came out, and I just played that to death in the record store, and it drove everybody fucking mental.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, no, this is the only thing that is in that stack of crap that I can tolerate right now. And we're in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, and I can't put on anything good, and the mall's too busy, or it's Christmas, and just fuck it. It's great. Put on Great Big Sea, because if you guys
They're
put on
like
one more of those,
they're
ahead.
like as far as East Coast as you can get, are they not?
Oh,
they're
yeah.
from-
Like they're like from
they're
Newfoundland, aren't
Atlantic
they?
Canada, baby.
Yeah.
I believe they're from Newfoundland,
Yeah.
and you can
That's
hear
right.
it in some of their voices when Alan Doyle sings.
The
you
new
can
fee
hear
comes
it.
out.
The new feed comes out. Donkey riding, Mary Mac, like it's fantastic. The night Pat Murphy died is just a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful song to just because it sounds like it should be morose and whatnot, but no, it's like Patty died, so they're having a giant party, and his buddies are fucking around, and absolutely, it's the wake I want. So if you guys are wondering how to send me off when it's my time, listen to that song
Great
and
Big Sea.
follow the instructions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard this song before.
No. Well, you know what? I'm going to highly recommend that one.
Why?
It's their Great Big Seas greatest hits album is just fantastic. Absolutely loved them. And I apologize to any former coworkers at that store that I drove nuts with it. But I mean, fuck, you guys
Bless
know
you.
what that CD bin was like.
So are you guys fans of more of the pop side of Canadian music? Like the Buble, I guess he's not really pop, but Justin Bieber,
You
for
don't-
example, The Weeknd, maybe. Do you guys listen to any of that stuff, or
I don't.
do your kids
I mean,
listen
I think
to
I
it?
my kids, I wouldn't say either of them were believers. I mean, but of course, I also
Because
turned
The
around
Weeknd's
and
pretty
I had
hot right
them-
now. Like as
I
an
had them
artist.
requesting Alice in Chains and Metallica in the car at a young age.
Well, I
said,
mean, you've raised them right then,
Right.
Clearly.
well, I mean,
so.
my one that graduates in days went to kindergarten wearing a Death Magnetic shirt. So
Love it.
absolutely, right?
Hey,
They
how
were-
many days in a row did Cooper wear his Iron Maiden shirt to school?
He rotates through a couple Iron Maiden shirts.
Well,
couple
now,
Metallica.
but when he first got the Iron Maiden shirt, I heard he went like the first day he went to school with
He
it
went.
on.
Then I don't think he could wear it to school after that because it was too scary for elementary school. I'm sure somebody fucking complained, some snowflake.
I mean, there's like a zombie Eddie on it, right? But yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But now he rotates between what's he got? He's got a couple Metallica shirts. He's got a couple Maiden shirts, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, all
Nice.
this shit that I listened to when I was his age.
Good.
It's pretty cool. Like and now he plays DJ and he's actually pretty. His taste, especially with the big band, or he's got some his favorites are just interesting for a kid.
all right.
Like, yeah, that's a topic for another
Seb,
day.
you did sort of hit on something. There is one Canadian artist that is got one of the biggest hits in music history that we haven't talked about yet.
I know what you're going to say.
Oh, do you?
Maybe.
Say
But
it.
keep going.
No, I bet you're right.
Celine Dion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just have,
Our little
yeah.
friend Celine. Now I know she's going through some stuff. health
So,
wise.
did
But
you
I
hear
mean,
about the controversy with I think it was Rolling Stone. I can't remember what magazine. They put out a magazine of the top 200 singers of all time, and Celine Dion did not make the list.
Oh yeah, that was huge. That was a big deal,
Everyone's
man.
like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So it was something else. But like people like Bruce Springsteen made the list. I don't think he's a good
oh
singer.
no, he can't. He can't out. You know what? I'm not a huge fan of her style of music.
But
Um,
you can't deny that she is. They had
no, that's
But
exactly
did
what I was
she
going to say.
write her
Her
own songs, or
skills.
she didn't write her own
It,
shit?
that's not what the thing was about.
Oh,
It's female. It's not female. It's just singers in general, right? So they had a thing on what the heck is the show called? Family Feud, where
Mhm.
they polled the audience. They're like, what top 5 answers on the board? Best female singers of all time. Celine Dion was like number 4 on the list. So like the population of the world thinks that Celine Dion is in the top 10 singer of all time,
Mhm.
whereas Rolling Stone doesn't give her any clout. Maybe it's because she's Canadian. Maybe because she doesn't
I
get the exposure in the U.S. or
oh,
even
she's
in
bigger
Britain.
there than here, probably.
no,
Well,
Because
Rolling
she's
Stone's
she's
British, though, I think, is it not? The
no, it's
magazine?
American.
Is
American.
it
no, it's
American?
American. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
no, it's
American.
it's an American
Okay.
magazine. I
Maybe it's
She's
because
not as
it's the Rolling
active.
Stones. I don't know.
Is probably the key. And quite frankly,
Yeah.
I think everybody got fucking irritated with that song from Titanic and just kind of passed over. I used to again, and I pulled from this bag of tricks a few times this episode. Working at the record store, we had a regular customer that would come in. This nice little lady, probably in her mid to late 50s, French Canadian lady, and all she wanted to talk about was Celine Dion. She would go on, and if you he's one of these people where if you made eye contact and you said anything to her, there was 40 minutes of your life out the door. Done. Bare minimum. And all this lady wanted to, oh, Celine Dion, she's so good. She's just so good. And that's all she would go on. And she'd be in twice a week. And
She is
unfortunately,
incredible,
when
though.
you're working retail, you're supposed to greet everybody in the store.
Yeah.
Now, when we were busy, it would be a bad employee or a new employee job. It's like, did you talk to the lady? It's like, can you, well, go, maybe you go over there and make sure that she's okay and she's finding everything all right. And the second they go away, everybody turns around and is like, cool. Well, we're good for 40 minutes. Like, we don't got to deal with this kid. And you know what happened to me? And I was right there laughing when I sicked other people over there. Celine, you can't argue her skill.
Yeah,
You can,
I just can't believe that she didn't make the top 200. Like
no,
it
Have
I
you
just
think
ever
it's
that's,
looked
just
at?
so mind-boggling to me how like she was just omitted of that, right? But then you have like I don't know.
Do you have the list in front of you? Because it's pretty fucked. Like Glenn Danzig is 199.
I
Give me a
know. How
me a
is
break.
he on there?
Yeah, this list has no credence with anything. This list is stupid.
Yeah.
what are
Glenn
the,
Danzig at
what are the,
199.
give me the top 10.
I'm going through it right now, so I'm just trying
Me
to see
too.
any outliers here.
Like, give me,
But like Bono's on there.
yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Axl Rose is on there.
What does
Neil
that
Young
say?
is on there.
Axl Rose should
Jeff
not be on there.
Buckley's on there. Courtney Love is at 130.
See, there you
Nope.
go.
Nope.
Courtney Love.
No.
So
This list sounds like just
Florence is on there,
absolute
which I
garbage.
agree with because she's amazing. She's
This
at
list is bullshit,
128. Yeah, it's something.
What are their top 5?
I'm getting there. Just give me a sec.
I gotta scroll for a long time.
Ozzy Osbourne is at 112. Just to
See,
give you an idea.
And Neil Young should be higher than 133 for his whatever.
Lou Reed is on there. After hearing Lulu, I'd have to take him away. How is he
Halford.
on there? I agree. Eddie Vedder's on there.
That's
I
fine.
don't know about that. I have to click load more. So, let me just get to the nitty gritty.
Any
here.
notable Canadians on there anywhere that you're seeing?
I'll get to
We
the
said
top
Neil
20.
Young.
Okay, so
I
the
don't
top
I
20
don't
is
know.
this. I'll do the top 20. Number 20 is Marvin Gaye. Number 19 is Frank Sinatra. Number 18 is Celia Cruz. Number 17 is Elvis. 16 is Prince. 15 is Bob Dylan, which I don't actually agree with.
I
He's
think
not
Bob
a
should be
top.
higher. I think Bob should be higher.
No, he should be
Pounds
lower.
and Bob should be off the list. Wasn't that
should
good?
be like maybe put him in the top 50, but not in the
Okay,
top 20.
maybe songwriters then. How's that?
Songwriters is a
absolutely. I'll
different
give you
category
songwriters,
though, because
not
these are vocalists, right?
And
So
we should take Axl Rose right off this fucking
we
list.
should. Freddie Mercury's
Uh-huh.
at 14, Patsy Cline's at 13, John Lennon at 12, Little Richard at 11, and your top 10 goes Al Green at 10, Otis Redding at 9, Beyonce at 8, Stevie Wonder at 7, Ray Charles at 6, Mariah Carey at 5, Billie Holiday at 4, Sam Cooke at 3, Whitney Houston at number 2, and of course Aretha Franklin number 1. I have no problem with Aretha Franklin being on there. Like she's up there.
Yeah,
but some
no,
people
I-
would have probably flipped Whitney and Aretha. Like you can make a
Yeah.
case that either one of
Yeah.
them could be one and they'll be 1 and 2. So, but yeah, just not having Celine Dion in the top 200 is just I don't get it. I cannot. I
No, I mean-
don't get it.
Yeah,
And you have Courtney Love over Celine Dion is just a joke. It's just
Yeah,
a
no,
fucking joke.
this list sounds absolutely fucked.
That's a dumpster fire.
I'm gonna have to look up a copy
Word of
because
the day is
I
dumpster fire.
definitely know that I could get a couple of days worth of conversation at a friend of the show, Sarah, over this. As we're nearing an hour, I'm going to bring up another little Canadian band, the Headstones,
Okay.
underrated hard rock punk band. Done some really good stuff. Did a great cover of Tweeter and the Monkey Man, which
Oh, yeah.
I just
That's
love.
a great song.
That was my introduction to them. That's a cool song.
Yeah.
I thought it was theirs for the longest time. I had
Oh,
no
absolutely.
idea it was a Wilbury song, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it originally was a Wilbury song.
Yeah.
And just when looking back, like Smile and Wave, like come on, like they got a bunch of albums out there that everybody knows songs off of, and just they seem to hit a glass ceiling for some reason. It's decent hard rock. I don't know if I would go full punk on at least on the more popular stuff.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is I think they're not one way or the other. They're kind of like punk and rock.
Neither fish nor foul. Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
Exactly
it's hard
right.
to market that too, right?
You can't. How do you do that? And they were probably never going to make it in the States
Yeah.
either. But now Hugh Dillon,
Yep.
that's the singer. He's an actor now. So
Yes.
he's got the band and a nice acting career.
Well, he did.
There was a show he was on.
Yeah, he was on a show, but I'm thinking of a movie he did real early in his career. It was black and white. It was following a band around on. It was almost like a documentary on a concert or on a tour. I can't remember the name of the movie for the life of me. It was a really good movie, and the ending was just fucked, but it made sense.
Oh, he's on Yellowstone. I did not know that.
Yeah. He did a bit there. Yeah, I can't remember
I
it
don't
for the
know.
life of me now. It's going to bother me. I'm going to remember it about the same time Mike remembers how many Spartan races is in or whatever it was from the last show.
I still can't remember the name of that race, and oh my god.
Yeah. So but,
This
I mean,
is
I'll-
Sparta. No, I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, Seb, keep your eye on your phone for about 3 a.m.
I'm
and
putting it on
we'll get
silent as
answers
soon
to
as
those
we log on.
questions. Yeah, right.
We haven't talked about this genre of music at all, but if we want to get into the electronic era, Dead Mouse is Canadian, and
Really?
he's from Niagara Falls, so he's
Did not know that.
he's infamous for electronic music, and you should hear his take on dubstep.
Oh really?
He freaking hates it. He's like, anyone can just crank the volume and make it sound like the speaker's breaking, but it takes no talent. Like he has a big rant about dubstep, how it's just it's shitty. I'm not gonna say it's a shitty form of music or that he says it is, but it's just lazy. That's what he says because it
Okay.
takes real talent to produce electronic music to his
Absolutely.
level, right? So
Yes.
he's from Niagara Falls, so
Okay. I didn't know
but
that.
not a lot is known about him because usually it's only recently where he is
He took
now.
the helmet off, right?
Yeah, because he streams on Twitch, right? So but he doesn't do it with the helmet. So a lot of his streaming stuff is very program centric. So he doesn't really he plays video games, but some of it is like architectural work and
Interesting.
really intricate electronic music platforms that he shows how he like comes up with stuff, and then
Cool.
he'll stream from like his production studio, and you can see 5,000 speakers just lined up behind him on this huge board. So yeah, a couple other female singers that we haven't talked about that we probably should talk about is
But I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put a pin in that for just a second. The
Sure.
name of the movie was Hardcore Logo.
Oh
From
God, yes.
1996.
Oh my God, yeah,
Hardcore
yeah.
Logo, Hugh Dillon of the Headstones. Great little film. Ending's a bit fucked up. Worth a watch. Absolutely worth
Yeah.
every minute of your time for that. Okay, so
Yeah.
go ahead.
a couple female artists that we haven't talked about. Lorena McKinnon, she's very Celtic influence. She has
Yes.
phenomenal music. Sarah McLachlan, and our freaking homegirl here from Victoria, Nelly Furtado, all Canadian artists. So Nelly, I've seen recently on TikTok, and I think she has like a new album coming out.
Oh,
like
nice.
she's been gone for
A while.
forever, right? So.
Yeah.
What was why can't I remember the name of what hip hop band was she involved with? Swollen Members.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
'cause
I
they
was
were
actually-
from
I had
Vancouver,
them
I
noted
think.
earlier
Yeah.
when we were talking about Maestro
Yeah.
Fresh West, but they did some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Vancouver-based band, to my recollection. They had some
Yeah.
really good hip hop.
Also, one more
downside-
lady, real quick, Shania Twain, also from Canada.
Yeah. One
But
of our
continue, Matt.
better-selling artists, Shania Twain.
Yep.
But yeah, the
Recently
Swollen Members
here,
were doing
actually.
some
She was here
really
like-
good.
She was here
hip-hop.
like a couple weeks ago, Shania Twain, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was. Still looks good too. Because let's be honest, she was right in there where it was.
Okay, real quick, smash or pass? Smash.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I will.
There's a show topic.
I
Smash
am
or
right
pass?
in line to say something stupid and get my face slapped. But
Hey, how
yeah.
many people would like to see us do a smash or pass episode?
Oh my God.
Hide your wives. Don't let
I
them
can-
watch that episode.
I can
Right.
think of 2 or
This
3
one's not
people that
going
may
live,
not
fellas.
really appreciates it, but that's all right. Like we will, maybe we'll just do that one on the download and find out who actually listens on Apple and Spotify and who's just here live and who only clicks when we promote it. So we'll record that one. We won't do any promotion for it. We'll just
We'll
do it.
drop
secretly
it as bonus
drop it.
content and see how long it takes
Yeah.
for one of us to get divorced.
Yeah.
And that trail race is called the Knee Knacker.
The
knee
knee
knacker.
knacker, amazing.
Aptly,
Alright, so-
it's aptly titled. So I had to
Perfect.
look it up. So I couldn't remember for the life of me, but I want to get in and do it one year. It's a lottery entry. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right
It's
now,
all- all in North Shore Mountains.
well, Seb was bringing up the last one that worked with Swollen Members, who's
Nelly.
named Nelly. Just
Furtado.
Nelly Furtado, that's right. And somebody else popped into my mind that I hadn't heard of in almost as long. He capitalized on sort of the same sound that Great Big Sea did, and
Oh, yeah.
really came in hard for about a year and a half.
You're not
in the
going to talk about this
mid-90s.
guy, are you?
Ashley
Don't
McIsaac.
do it. He's a fucking putz. He's a dumb fuck pet. He's a pedophile, man. We can't promote that shit. Fuck him.
I'm not promoting it. I'm just
Good.
saying
Fuck him.
it
He sucks.
happened, and for a hot minute, it was a unique sound that really sat there well.
It was, and he kind of fused a little bit of electronic music into his sort of fiddle playing too, which
Absolutely.
right you can respect is the wrong
the
word. But you can
fiddle.
appreciate. You can
Yeah,
appreciate
I
a
mean-
bit, but I don't condone his
Yeah, well, you know
personal
what?
life actions.
I'm a wrestling fan, and I'm a big fan of a guy that we're not allowed to talk about ever, and we have to ignore his career because he did something really, really bad
Oh.
that made national news. So, separating the artist from
It's hard.
the human being or the body of work from the human being can be difficult. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I am not condoning anything this man may or may not have done because I am not up to date on what has been proven and what has
I'm
only
pretty
been
sure it all
alleged.
got proven.
But
Anyways,
for a
fuck him.
hot minute, he was doing really well in the 90s with a very
He was.
unique sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, we've produced some pretty big acts. I mean, we haven't really talked
Yeah.
about the Guess Who
or
either.
Brian Adams.
Or Brian
Brian
Adams.
Adams.
Right?
I mean,
We haven't
Bryan
talked about the
Adams
hip,
is
but we have an entire
smoking
episode
the-
dedicated to them.
We'll leave
so
the hip. We'll leave
yeah.
the hip alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Adams was smoking in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. Like he
What was the
just-
one song he did with the Spice Girl?
I have no
He
idea.
did a duet
with Mel C.
with Sporty Spice.
Yeah, no, it's Mel C. Come on, Seb. Fuck, was it
The
called?
only line of the song I know is "Even food don't taste that
When you're
good."
gone.
When you're gone.
When you're
yeah.
It's actually a good song. I
Good
actually
song. Well, just his soundtrack work alone, right?
Yeah.
You had the soundtrack to that song from Robin Hood.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh
That was
yeah, I
huge.
forgot about that. Yeah,
And
he-
that was a bit of a
Prince
toned
of
down
Prince
version. 'Cause
of
he was
Prince of
what's it
Thieves or
called?
whatever.
Prince of
Prince of
Thieves, the
Thieves.
Kevin Costner one.
That song, and it's actually I heard it a few weeks ago. It's a really good song.
It is.
The movie's good too. Like I really enjoyed that movie.
Except for Kevin Costner, he's an American guy with like a southern accent in England. But okay, if you can, get around that, it's
at some point he was probably trying to learn the accent, and then they're just
work.
like,
Yeah,
just talk normally. Forget it. Like this is not gonna work.
No one's gonna give a shit. When you got like what's his name, Hans Gruber, Alan Rickman, talking all eloquent and sort of.
Yeah,
like that, and then it's Kevin Costner. Yeah, okay, I'm Robin Hood.
Well,
like,
I mean,
dude, have you watched Elvis yet?
Kristen Slater off the hook too from having to learn. It's like Kevin doesn't have to learn. I don't have to learn. I'm like, please don't, please.
Dude, watch Elvis, and you can't unhear Tom Hanks's stupid Dutch accent through the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, we've covered that one in the archive. Go back and check our Academy Award episodes for that.
Hey, how about Corey Hart? I'll wear my sunglasses at night.
That I was walking through the warehouse at work, and that was on the radio, and that got stuck in my head for like 3 hours.
That was such a hit song, eh? Yeah.
The thing about working with me, if something gets stuck in my head, I will start singing, and I will start singing at the top of my lungs.
Oh God.
And
do it.
You know what? It's not as bad as you may think. However, sometimes I need to learn the song a little better. And sometimes I just need to learn what I can and cannot sing. But I'm not opposed to it. It's just like
good for you for having the
singing to myself.
You got to try though, right?
And not giving a fucks to do that because I can't do that.
Yeah, I lost my give a fucks for singing in public and public speaking years ago. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to bring up? I think we've covered a great.
We've covered a lot. Yeah.
Anybody else? I mean, you mentioned Bublé, solid performer. The Guess Who really brought some notable. I guess the Guess Who and Neil Young both at the same time in the mid to late '60s really brought some notice to Canada. They both broke out of here. One out of Winnipeg.
If you want to go back that far, Steppenwolf with Born to be Wild.
I did not know that.
Magic Carpet Ride, The Pusher, blah blah blah. Right, they were huge.
I didn't know Steppenwolf was Canadian.
Saskatchewan, I believe.
Finger 11 is Canadian as well. Arkel's, Billy Talent.
Who doesn't love Sloan?
Billy Talent's Canadian as well.
Billy Talent fucking sucks.
3 Days Grace, Triumph. What about Loverboy? April Wine.
Oh yeah,
turn me loose, man.
Loverboy, absolutely. Give me some Mike Reno. Give me those red pants. Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't there a band called Chilliwack?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Doug and the Slugs.
And
Doug and the Slugs.
One of my favorite
BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive, also Canadian.
BTO? Yeah. Well, I mean that split that came out of the Guess Who splitting up too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Randy Bachman went and did his thing, and Burton Cummings went and did his thing, and both of them had good careers after the Guess Who. And then there's one of my favorite hard rock bands going, fronted by a Canadian.
There's actually one huge Canadian band that we actually haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Blue Rodeo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're huge.
They have 16 albums.
Yeah, they've done a lot of albums.
Yeah.
I don't know how they tour outside of Canada as far as what they're doing, but I know they'll sell out the hockey arenas.
Yeah, Blue Rodeo. It's just Blue Rodeo is not my style of music, so it's never on my radar. But I mean,
when it comes up,
it's Canadian country. Basically, is the best way of putting it, right? So, yeah. Oh,
and speaking of which, Default came out of Vancouver. Dallas Smith out there killing it.
Out of Langley.
Yeah.
You also can't forget Theory of a Dead Man, which is arguably one of the biggest bands that come out of North Delta ever, or probably the biggest band ever. They're huge.
Also, State of Shock also came out of North Delta.
Yeah, I've I mean, some of these local bands I am familiar on a personal level with people in them. But like I was saying, Winnipeg produced frontman for Fozzy, Chris Jericho.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
wouldn't put them on the top 200 singer lists of all time, nor would I count them as a Canadian band. But I mean, we put these people out into the world, and sometimes it hits and sometimes it misses. I'm sure that there's places. I mean, let's take the States for example, because it is so diverse between the styles of music, and you can really see that in the Foo Fighters Sonic Highways docu series. Uh, I'm sure there are bands in all sorts of these places. Like, well, you're a little too California to be played out in New York. You're a little too New York to play down in Texas. You know what I mean?
Well, that was
And
a
I think
Seattle
that's
scene until it blew up, right?
yeah. I mean, Seattle blew up, and we have a show in our topic list of grunge or not grunge. And I think that's a very blurry line, and a lot of bands in Seattle and California and Oregon really got pigeonholed. It was like, oh well, you're grunge music because you're from Seattle. No, they're not. Pearl Jam is not a fucking grunge band. I'm sorry. Um, so I mean, I think that maybe is part of the thing with the Canadian music, that and the fact it is so hard to tour up here like it is in the States because there's so long between decent sized towns,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep. Absolutely.
especially on the eastern seaboard, you're a short car ride away from a next major city. Going from DC to Philly to New York is
2 hours.
not that difficult.
It's a short train ride, right?
Yeah, short chain ride, quick zip up the highway, especially if you can, go from DC to Philly, Philly to Newark, Newark across the bridge to New York.
Yep.
It's not that hard, and you can continue that trend along, going to, Chicago and Minneapolis and stuff like that.
yep,
And in Canada, you go from Vancouver, you might stop in Kamloops or Kelowna,
Maybe.
but after that, you're looking at Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton. After that,
Toronto,
Regina.
because it's all the
Saskatoon,
prairies. No one cares.
Winnipeg.
Regina.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough. It is brutal, difficult, and I think maybe one of the things we're seeing is our biggest artists did that thing where they're like, "Well, we left." Neil Young left, right? He pieced out to L.A.,
Yep.
pieced out to
yeah,
New
but
York.
you're going to, like, if you're successful, you're gonna make the move. Like most people would.
Yeah.
Like if you're an
Absolutely.
actor, why wouldn't you move once if you're serious about it? Why would you not move to New York or L.A.?
Well, I mean, that's
You
competition, right? Sometimes you
yeah
need to be the big fish in the small pond first,
yeah
right? And then get something so that you have a leg up, and you're not just the 15th blonde guy with a six-pack abs up for the role. Whereas in Canada, you might have been the second, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
we're
but the
thinking about
problem
you
with
in
that is
York.
that anything meaningful is cast out of LA most of the time,
100%.
right? So it's better to be right next door than
Yeah.
another country away and having to send your tapes in, because you can immediately respond to anything all the time that you're there. Yeah, you're in a big pool, but you're in the pool that matters,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
well, I
So
mean, and swimming in that pool sometimes can get
yeah,
difficult, and
yeah,
sometimes, it's better to find a slightly smaller spot and get
yeah.
it up and then go back. Where it's like, hey,
You
we have this kind of following up here, especially in the age of social media. It's like we have
yeah.
we have 200,000 followers on Instagram. It's like, okay, so now we can book you for a spot at the whiskey, right?
Yeah, you kind of perfect your craft and confidence and then move that into the big pool when you feel like this is my chance to move into the big pool, right? If you go too early, you're just going to get swallowed up. So you have to be able to like go to battle against all of
Yeah,
your
you gotta.
competition, right? So, and you have to have your belief in yourself before you make the move, I think. So,
I
but yeah,
agree. So
yeah,
it's I mean, we got some decent Canadian music. We have some very popular Canadian music that fucking irritates us. And we
Drake.
have some artists that we just honestly, as we're coming along, we didn't get a chance to really dive deep into, like the bubble.
Or Rush. Rush is awesome.
Rush, you know what?
Yeah,
Rush did really well. Yeah, we briefly touched on that, but
I love Rush. Despite
we
the
got
voice. I'm not a big vocal guy, but musically,
yeah, I don't know
you're
how
no
he
problem.
sings like that. It hurts my throat just
Well, he doesn't
listening to
anymore.
him.
His voice changed in the mid '80s when it
Yeah.
dropped. But anyways,
it's so high.
yep.
Yeah.
Oh, not
All
my
right,
cup of tea.
gentlemen.
Okay.
It's been real. Thank you for sticking with us. Please stick with us for more on-demand only audio. Once we get cooled down from the summer and have more time to spare, we will be back to a live format. And we will be looking for more input from you folks out there. So drop us a line on our Facebook page or send us an email at theinpod@gmail.com. We will get your opinions and everything into it. And gentlemen, talk to you in a few days.
Peace and
Talk
love.
to you in a few days. See ya.
Bye.